What is up, guys? Media Master Menard here today, and yes, I finally got my Snowball mic. I'm really pumped. My audio quality is better. I picked it up at Best Buy yesterday, and I'm just learning how to use it, so bear with me a little bit, but I think you guys are really gonna like this sound quality a lot better. But like you see in the title of the video, today we're going to be talking about the Netflix original series, Altered Carbon. Now this is based off a comic book series, but a while ago a friend recommended this show to me and I kind of went into it blindly, and now after seeing it, I think everybody needs to watch this show. It's super interesting and one of the best Netflix original series in my opinion. So I'll kind of set the stage for you guys. This series starts off with a man named Takeshi Kovacs. He's an Asian man. That's important. We'll get to that later. He's resisting arrest from police or a military faction, and afterwards he loses and he wakes up 250 years in the future, and he's not the same man. He actually is now a white man and he's in a different body. And so this is possible due to a technology called a stack, which lets you transfer human consciousness into a new body, organic or synthetic. And right now, as you can see on the screen, I'm showing you both these men are Takeshi Kovacs. So there are these really old men and women in this world called meths, or short for Methuselahs, that are super rich and have the money to extend their lives indefinitely, essentially. I'll talk about that later on, but Takeshi finds out this man named Laurence Bancroft pays for him to be awoken from his 250-year sleep. Now Takeshi isn't too happy about that, and on the way to Laurence's estate, he kind of sees the different conflicting factions of the world. There's people who have just been murdered and the government reissues them a body of an old grandma when they were a child when they died. And there's other people outside that are Catholics that don't want anybody to be changing bodies, and they think it's immoral and that God gave them one body and that they shouldn't be changing. And this sets the stage for the moral conflicts that are to come. So these meths are so rich and powerful that they can create clones of themselves. And sleeves are what they're called in this universe. Sleeves are another body that you're going into, and it's kind of interesting how they dehumanize the word sleeve. So the body isn't the human part, it's the mind or the soul. But Takeshi is being hired to investigate the murder of one of Laurence's sleeves because he doesn't know how it happened, because the person was able to kill him before he was able to back up his memory to the cloud. And Takeshi kind of hesitantly accepts this because Laurence calls him a terrorist, and that's because Takeshi was part of a group called the Envoys that had terrorized the Protectorate, the form of government in this universe. It should be noted that there's multiple worlds that the humans have colonized in this universe, so it's not just Earth that this story takes place on. There's other planets and other factors that come into consideration, but I won't go too much farther into any specific details because that ranges in on spoilers, and I don't want to talk about spoilers on my channel. I've said that before and I'm sticking to it. So let's talk about kind of why I like this show so much. What makes this show so intriguing is how we see human nature shed in a different light. How humans act when they're given the power to play God is just, it's not good. Absolute power corrupts absolutely. And they've put systems in place to keep the lower side of society down. And so at the beginning, I told you this earlier, there was a girl who got put into an older woman's body. And when she comes out to meet her family, she's actually older than her family is. And it's just heartbreaking to see what happens to a family when they've been hit with the corruptness of the government that is controlled by these meths. This show goes into detail about what types of things people can do with the ability to switch bodies. And this show is a mature show, so it doesn't beat around the bush. A lot of what people do is for sexual acts or stuff in that nature. There's a lot of synthetic sleeves and a lot of popular brothels in this world, but people also use it for crime and to stay anonymous when they commit crimes. And so it's kind of almost the wild, wild west out there, and the fact that if people don't know who you are, you can do whatever you want. It's kind of the social media aspect of this age. People will say anything over social media now, but they won't do it in real life. Well, this show is saying they can do that in real life now because they can remain anonymous. It really made me think what I would do if I was given this ability to change bodies and on a whim, essentially. And I'd like to think that I wouldn't let it corrupt me, but I start thinking about the things you could do, and it's human nature what happens in this show, and I like how it's unavoidable. Almost everybody who's able to use this body switching ability abuses it. There's no good use for it. What good can come from a human being immortal? Takeshi, as he goes on throughout his investigation, kind of figures this out and starts to realize this slowly, but it also makes his investigation much more difficult. He's trying to find people that can switch bodies, and throughout it he sees the same person who's in multiple different bodies, and it's kind of confusing for him, but it's also confusing as the audience on the first time viewing it, because they want you to feel what Takeshi is going through. He can't tell who is who, and the blurred lines are everywhere, so it's cool that the show is able to put you in the same shoes as its main character and be confused onto who is who and what is what in a good way. I've never seen a show be able to do that before. This show also dabbles in the AI aspect of things, and it talks about a world where there's sort of racism towards AI, even though they're sentient beings in this show. And there's an innkeeper named Poe who's one of the main characters, and he owns a brothel called the Raven that eventually becomes the base of operation for Takeshi's investigation. And he's a really badass character who doesn't mess around, and he gets shit done. And so it's really cool how they explore his arc and his growth as a character, and how AI in this world are almost as human as the humans, maybe even more so. It's weird. But for all the commentary that this show has on society and human nature as a whole, it also asks as many questions. It asks questions such as, does conscious thought qualify you as having a soul, and are humans meant to be immortal, and what happens when they do so, and when do you stop becoming a human being? All these things are why I love this show, and I really love forms of media that talk about stuff like this. I'm interested in Detroit Become Human because of themes just like this. I loved Nier Automata because themes like this. And so I really hope that you guys will take the time to watch this show, because I think this is really good to look at just from a make you think standpoint. This isn't just a make you think type of show though. There's also some kick-ass battle scenes and action scenes that are really cool and they're done really well. And I think the cast overall is very good. The only problem I would say is Ortega, the cop. She was a little cliche and annoying at times, but overall I think it was good. I think one of the really cool characters was Quell. She was the leader of the envoys when Takeshi was with them, and you kind of get flashbacks from time to time about how she taught Takeshi his skills and her part in the entire story. I won't spoil anything, but it's very interesting. There was the character, an ex-military character named Elliot, that had an uneasy alliance with Takeshi. That was super cool to see kind of how they were on opposite sides and now they're coming together to work somewhat. And then Laurence's wife, Miriam, she is one of the most pivotal characters in the show, and she's very interesting and starts a lot of good or bad things going, and she has an interesting sleeve where she has like, not special powers, but it seduces men more. There's certain hormones or pheromones that come off her sleeve that entice men to make love with her. But I think the star of the show obviously is Joel Kinnaman as Takeshi in the present day. His portrayal as Takeshi was just immaculate. You could feel what Takeshi felt. You could just tell what type of internal strife and anger and confusion was going on in him, and I just really think he carried this show. Yeah, and I know I've been kind of all over the place in this recommendation, and I know some of you guys are probably thinking, what the hell is this show? And I know when I first heard about it through a recommendation, I'm like, man, that sounds like trash. But after you watch it, you will love this show. I promise you that much. And I cannot recommend it more highly. But that wraps it up for today's video, guys. Check out my Twitter handle in the link below. If you liked the video, leave a like, comment, and subscribe to the channel. I'm going to be bringing you guys more movie, TV, video games, and anime talk. I can't wait to be bringing you guys some more content and some more videos. So, until then, this is Master Menard, signing off.